What's up YouTube, Mr. LimeSC here, and today I'm going to be going through my build of the Electrocutioner. Shout out to chat for that great name. The Shocker is also a good name, but I think that's going to be the build I actually go into. So the Electrocutioner for Path of Exile 2 here is going to be an electric ranger that really focuses on electrocution. So essentially with your ailments, I'm going to show you right here, you have electrocution and you have shock. So shock is what increases damage, right? You can see right here, shock is an ailment that causes targets to take 20% increased damage and last 4 seconds, which is really nice. And of course, you know, shocking a bunch of enemies increases all the damage that they're taking. And then you can have extra boost in your tree versus shocked enemies. But what I really found I was loving was electrocution. So electrocution is an element that interrupts the target's actions and prevents them from performing any actions. This is not just on white mobs. This is all the way up to your act bosses, your map bosses, everything. When they hit their electrocution level, essentially, of it, they will get stuck and just kind of shake around for 5 seconds, which is fantastic. So what have I been doing for this build? Let's go ahead and start with the skill gems. So the crux, or the core piece, I should say, of this build is really Lightning Rod. This is everything from it. You can kind of play around with the other pieces, but Lightning Rod is the main piece. So I'm getting Lightning Rod, which will shoot rods up in the air and then drops them on the ground. Then whenever you shoot an enemy within them, it'll do a lightning burst all around for each of those, and you can kind of really build that up. But these lightning rods, I have additional projectiles, as you can see. I have 100% more chance to shock, just because I want to also build shock on this build. And then I have electrocute, which is this beautiful gem that is lightning damage from supported skills contribute to electrocution buildup. And then the supported skill deals 40% less damage. So yes, I'm dealing less damage with it, but actually within the tree I have a lot of stuff that deals damage through or to electrocuted monsters and such. So this does a ton of electrocution buildup, and I can actually go show you. I'll just go find some mobs. So you can see this right here is their electrocution buildup. So not doing any, I'm just literally shooting these right now. I'm actually probably too strong right now for this to really see it all. But you can see that those mobs got electrocuted. And like I said, whenever you shoot into it, you will also create all of these bursts, which will also contribute to the electrocution buildup. And so now this mob is electrocuted, right? And it's a 5 seconds of them just sitting there shaking. And it's quick, easy. You can run around and build up electrocution on all of the mobs really, really fast. So it's kind of like a perma-stunning CC build with really decent damage as well, which is really nice. So that is my lightning rod setup. Again, I like the chance to shock because I also have stuff with shocking, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But there are alternatives that you can run within. You can have, you know, chance for lightning exposure when you shock an enemy, which I'll probably put in there later. Increased shock duration, but less chance of shock. These can kind of all be bounced around. So the skill gems I don't think are perfectly set yet, but this is kind of what I've been playing with. Then I'm shooting lightning arrow in. I have more attack speed on that. I have gained damage as extra lightning damage, and then increased magnitude of shocks inflicted with the skills, but less shock duration. So again, just really trying to build a lot of shock and get a lot of damage in. Those are my main 2 skills. The third one is Voltaic Mark, which I just kind of have whatever in, but more skill effect duration, and then increased crit chance on it. These aren't really super important. I haven't really decided exactly what I want in there, but the idea is you mark them, they have more chance to shock, which is really nice. So I like voltaic mark. And then lastly, let me move my camera. That I'm using really is magnetic salvo. I've got just projectile speed, damage as lightning when you kill a shocked enemy with this skill, which is really nice because that's attacks gain 35% of damage. And then I have support skills to have more weapon elemental damage right here. I could actually put elemental focus in here and that'd probably be a little better because that'll be more damage. So this is really nice because this is kind of a cleanup skill. And again, I can go show you. I mean, I can just do it right here. So essentially you lay down all of your lightning rods and then you blast into it with the magnetic salvo and it'll blow up all of the rods and just kind of chain everything between them. And it's super nice. It does a ton of damage. It's got a really nice burst to it. So I kind of use that as my third cleanup skill with it. So really you can run this build in two ways. The first one is laying the lightning rods down and then shooting into them with your lightning arrow, which I can again just go show, right? You're going there and then you're shooting into them there. And everything's just getting electrocuted as you're doing this, so it's really helping with CC and such. And the second way is playing just for kind of the this part of the build, which is just blowing up everything with the magnetic salvo. And that's actually been a really fun way to play it. And you can always, of course, bounce back and forth between the two, but you could honestly just play purely magnetic salvo and lightning rod if you wanted. So those are those. The additional pieces I have are 3 passives that I've got running here, and I'm able to do this because I have plus 40 to spirit. But additionally, you can just gain the spirit as you're playing through the game when you beat. I actually think I have a little more spirit to get. I have 30 more now. But you can get 30 spirit in Act 1, in Act 3, and then like Cruel Act 3 or something. There's like 3 points in the game where you can get 30 spirit added to your character. So that will allow you to use these. So I have Wind Dancer. This is really nice. Gets me evasion per stage. And then I just have Maims, Blinds, and then increased mana regen. So it's super nice because you just build this up, and then whenever a melee monster hits you, it'll knock them back, blind them, maim them, all that. Herald of Thunder is pretty clutch. It's while killing shocked enemies with attack damage. So again, I want to shock the enemies. It will cause subsequent attack hits to release lightning bolts, which deal attack damage to all surrounding enemies. So just nice damage. I've got more area damage there, more area of effect right here, and then +1 level to supported gems. So just trying to boost it. And then Combat Frenzy, I still have to figure my second gem. A lot of people have been asking, how am I getting these Frenzy charges? Well, Combat Frenzy gives you a Frenzy charge whenever you freeze, electrocute, or pin. And obviously, I am electrocuting. And then I just have support skills have chance to grant an additional charge right now. So I electrocute all the time. So literally whenever I'm running around, I am just full up on Frenzy charges. I also do have Barrage, which I sometimes will use just with if I have my Frenzy charges for like a quick burst of electrocuting arrow or something, especially if a monster's shocked and I want to do a little extra damage there. So those are my skill gems. Now, the passive tree looks like this for me, and I'll go through a little bit of how I leveled it to get it there. So I started out and just leveled up through here to get the projectile damage and speed. And then I went through just one of these nodes. I went ahead and got increased damage with hits against enemies affected by elemental ailments. Because again, shock and electrocute are that. So this is really nice later on. But in the early game, obviously I wasn't getting that. So I just had increased projectile damage and piercing. I didn't come over here for this yet. This I added in later as well. Then I came down. Here's bonus damage from equipped quiver, which was really nice early. And then I went in for the penetrating lightning resist because I was getting early lightning damage, right? and then also up here to increase chance to shock and increased elemental damage just for these. So leveled up kind of through there. You can add these a little bit later if you want. Just depends if you're shocking or not. Here is just kind of some evasion, which was helpful. So I did get those early, but you could decide if you want to get those a little bit later or not. Then I came down here, went over and got 50% increased lightning damage while affected by Herald of Thunder, because once I had Herald of Thunder up, it was just super nice. And then also got increased electrocute buildup. This was as soon as I got the electrocute skill gem, I skilled into all of these right here, because this is all just increasing electrocute buildup and increasing the damage taken, which again, we're doing a lot of electrocute buildup. So that's why we can build it up really quickly. Because at the start, when you first have it, it takes a while to build. But once you get like a few of these skills, it really does a lot. Then we got increased skill speed over here. This is just really nice. You could actually go for this really early as well if you want. Here's more magnitude of shock you inflict. And then some mana regen. So increasing the magnitude of shock is just super nice for damage there. And then I came over here for increased elemental damage. And then down into here for increased damage with hits against enemies affected by elemental ailments again. Increased duration of shock as well, which was nice. And then we went down here to increase damage with elemental attacks. This again, increased electrocute buildup and chance to shock. Super nice for us. Down through to get Flash Storm, increased chance to shock, and penetrating lightning res, lightning damage. And then lightning damage with non-critical hits is lucky because I'm not doing a ton of critical hits and lightning damage has a big range. So lucky means it rolls 2 die essentially whenever you hit and takes the better roll. So, you know, if you roll 2 and then like 50, it'll take the 50, right? So it's a nice way to increase the damage through that. Then I came over here and came down to get increased lightning damage and electrocute buildup so we could have Thunderstruck, which I felt like this early on wasn't as good, but once I got to the later section of it and I had built up a lot of my electrocute and stuff, this seemed really nice. Because once I got it where I was shocking and electrocuting very often, now it's like really ramping it up. We have 50% increased electrocute buildup against shocked and 50% increased shock chance against electrocuted. So again, it's like we do both of those often. Now we're doing them much more often. And then over here, this is shocking hits have a chance to shock enemies in a radius to just put more shock and more electrocute as much as we can really on there. Other skills I'm looking at, I'm actually looking at coming up the ailments right here. So you'll note that this says increased duration of damaging ailments, which is not shock or electrocute, but it is 30% increased damage with hits against enemies affected by ailments, and these do include those. So this is just damage and also some magnitude along the way, which is, you know, not bad. So I'm looking at coming up in there. I'm looking at going here and just getting the increased projectile damage. So these 3 right here, I'll probably get. And that's probably all I've looked at. Beyond that, there's plus to maximum frenzy charges. So I'm considering doing that to get the 2 frenzy charges. And I haven't really looked much beyond that. So that's kind of my current skill tree. I am level 66. That'll take me through like 75 or so. And then I'll look for some more stuff. You know, we can always, of course, whenever you're looking at your tree, you can always just type in like electro or whatever. And, you know, it'll highlight anything that's got to do with electrocute. So here we go. Oh, more electrocution buildup, increased electrocute buildup, increased shock chance against electrocute enemies. I mean, that sounds really fantastic. Now, to get there might be a little bit of a pain. So we could go through a jewel node here. Don't really need any of that. So it might just be taking these travel nodes over to build to that. Or we could look at going up through here because there's another increased lightning damage and a jewel node. So I'd probably go here, 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 here. And then we can look at getting into that potentially. So that's one option. See if there's any other highlighted ones. I think I've got a lot of it, honestly. We can look at shock. See if there's anything good in the shocking that we don't have yet that we might want. And it looks like we have a lot of that. And then you can look, of course, at, oh, we've got just here, increased shock duration. Maybe just jump right into that. That could be nice. And then we can look at like lightning. See if there's any nice just lightning damage around. Penetrate some lightning reds over here. Probably not worth getting into. Yeah, so we've got kind of a couple things. And then last would be like projectile, which I could go into, just increase damage on these nodes. Increase damage against mobs that are close and far. And then I do kind of like this feathered fletching as a possibility for increases and reductions to projectile speed. Also apply to damage with bows, because you can get some like quivers that are like 40% projectile speed, and some of the skills have projectile speed boost. For instance, 15% increase. No, that's projectile damage. There's one that has speed here as well. And all of that will just apply. Oh, and there's also the support gem acceleration that's 40% projectile speed. So just some thoughts, right? So that's kind of how I look around, decide what I'm going to do next. Okay, so that's my playthrough of that piece in leveling. And the last piece that we'll really look at is gear. Again, I'm level 66. I can actually go back to town and look at a little bit of the gear we found along the way. But the main piece is finding a bow first that has high damage on it. Now, physical and lightning damage are both going to be good here. One thing that is notable is lightning arrow is only 40% physical conversion to lightning, but really your damage is coming from the lightning rods because you're setting all the rods up. And you can see whenever the arrow remains in the ground and any chaining lightning beams chained to it, when chained, the arrow releases another lightning burst. So you're actually just getting a lot of burst from your lightning rod. So this is kind of my like main thing. Like the lightning arrow DPS is nice, but all of the burst from all the lightning rods really does a lot, and then the electrocution and such. And this is 100% physical damage to lightning. So, like I say, you can boost physical and you can boost lightning. Both are going to be good. But gear that I have and I've looked at and such, right? So currently I'm wearing this. It doesn't have a giant physical damage on it, unfortunately. I did put 2 sockets in and then increase the physical damage myself. But it's a bow that fires an additional arrow. So I really like the 2 arrows because, again, both arrows hit and then they chain and there's more explosions. And that's what I'm really looking for. So increased physical damage, and then 4 to 76 lightning damage is nice there. Some accuracy, mana per kill is nice, which my mana doesn't really drain anymore, which is really good. So getting some things like that can be useful. It's not the best bow, but it's decent, and it kind of has done us all right. For armor, or for a helmet, I'm really looking to stack evasion, but I also like some armor with this build. So you'll actually see I've got 48% evasion. I'd like to get a little higher, and then just 12% armor. So those numbers are a little bit lower than I would want, but they're not terrible. I have this for big life and spirit, and then it's got a little bit of light res, but really I wanted that extra spirit early because I wanted to run all 3 of those pieces. When you're deciding, definitely Herald of Thunder is the first thing you should get, and then Wind Dancer or Combat Frenzy is kind of up to you if you prefer to be a little bit more damaging, running around with your frenzy charges, or if you prefer to be, a little bit more evasive, right? This is just okay, but it's got a lot of attributes because I needed a lot of dexterity to use my stuff and just gear overall. So nothing too special here. This is pretty solo self-found for all of my gear. Actually, every single thing that I'm wearing is solo self-found. So I'm not really trading or doing anything, which is why this gear isn't like godly amazing. This is what I've just been finding along the way and crafting and gambling and all of that. I like the chance to pierce an enemy here because it'll pierce through and then we can get another enemy hit, maybe get more explosions. A little added physical damage, attack speed, dexterity. So really the main things you're looking at are going to be increased physical, increased lightning, added physical damage to attacks, added lightning damage to attacks. Those are going to be really nice. Anything with attack speed, just like if you can boost those pieces up, it's super good. Beyond that, of course you want max life. Max mana is actually decent, and just some like even mana regen can be really nice. You can see these are really great gloves. I need to exalt them a couple more times, but all 4 of these mods are really nice. And they've got evasion, which is helpful. This belt right here has 71 max life, 70 mana, and then the like life regen per second is nice with some fire res. So just lots of res. These boots I'm literally using for dexterity and movement speed. Those are 2 like really great mods on it. Again, I should exalt it. But those 2 mods alone, you really want movement speed on your boots. It will save you a lot. On my ring, just physical damage added. And then again, some stats. This is probably my worst piece of gear right here. Again, maybe exalt it and try and hit something better. And then this ring is pretty nice. It's got 7 all res base, and then some max life, max mana, light res, and then the mana regen rate here is pretty sweet. And then the cast speed's unfortunate, but it's a nice ring nonetheless. So that is my gear. It's nothing like otherworldly, but you can see, I mean, I can run around and just kind of CC everything, murder everything, and it just feels really solid. Like, honestly, it's a very strong build. I found that, you know, we've been able to just continue to burst mobs down with it. And it's gotten way better at bosses. I electrocute bosses, so half the time they're trying to do something from their phase, and then we can just electrocute them really easily, which is nice. It's just like increase monster damage, pack size, perfect. And so I'll just run in here, and we'll just do. We'll just do a random map just to kind of show a little bit of how it plays. So this will just be a little showcase. My resistances are not great. You can see my cold res is bad, which is unfortunate. I really love the magnetic salvo. I actually feel like it just does so much. Great way to get some easy kills in. So it can be a little glass cannon-y. But, you know, again, my res are pretty bad. I haven't built up. It's all solo self-found gear. I haven't been like crazy building and exalting all my stuff to make sure I have enough resistances and things, so. But it's pretty fun. Like I say, I've definitely enjoyed it. The electrocution is just fantastic. I feel like I can perma-stun a lot of things very quickly. Again, you can see how fast it builds up. Oh, that's dead. End the video just before that. You saw nothing. Move your life so you can see your life bubble. Oh yeah, whatever. I was just screwing around. So, you know, you can move around and there's the glass cannon piece of it. I was pushing way too quickly in that map. You definitely don't want to get to a point where you're getting surrounded. That's just always going to be kind of deadly. But that is the build. That kind of takes you through all the pieces, the gear, the leveling, the skill gems, and some of the explanation of kind of how it's working. At this point, I'm definitely looking at shifting the character into being shock pretty soon. So I want to try using the shock chain arrow because I have so much shock buildup, and see if I can maybe change that out with lightning arrow, but keep everything else the same and just make the shock really spread across everything. But I only have 3 link skills right now, and it feels like that'll really open at 4 links when I can add just a couple more skill gems in for supports. So anyways, I hope that that was helpful. I hope that you enjoy playing through the build. It was a fun playthrough. It was a little slow at the start. It was tough. And it really took, I needed to, like, getting your bow is the most important thing. So you really want to focus whenever you find a blue bow, you know, a zealot bow, whatever it is, whenever you find a white bow or a blue bow, whatever it is, transmute it, aug it, see if you get physical damage and added physical, see if you get, and physical, you know, enhanced percent, see if you get lightning damage, see what you get and increase that bow damage, because that'll be a big factor for the kind of early stages. So obviously, like, normal is just kind of hard for a lot of builds, but I thought it did decently well. It was fun. If you grind a little, it can do nicely, and then you can just go from there. So anyways, that's the build. I hope that you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you have comments, questions, anything down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace, YouTube.